Welcome back to the Britannia Coin Company. We're a coin dealer based in Royal Wootton Bassett in the UK. With so many 50 pence coins out there, some which are rare and valuable and others that are very common which you're better off spending, it's hard to know what you should be looking for. So in today's video we're going to be covering as many of the rare 50p's you should be looking out for as is possible. Firstly then, the rarest commemorative 50p coins. A commemorative coin is one that celebrates an event, person, institution or other theme. There are plenty of very common coins and these will probably be the ones that you come across the most frequently, but there are plenty that are desirable to collectors. First, there is the Olympic 50p collection. There were 29 different sports minted onto the 50p, and these are arguably amongst the most collectible sets of coins out in circulation. Some are worth more than others, the top 5 being Olympic football, wrestling, judo, triathlon and tennis. If you find an Olympic 50p, even the most common design, it will be worth more than 50p to a collector. If you find one of the rarer ones, you'll be looking at prices quite in excess of its face value of 50p. There are also two very special Olympic 50p's to look out for, both of which shouldn't be in your change but might find their way out there. The first is the Olympic Athletics 50p with a different date. The coins were struck for circulation in 2011, so amongst the Olympic 50p's you'll find in your change, they should all be dated 2011. But in 2009 there were Olympic Athletics 50p's minted to celebrate the winning design by a Blue Peter viewer. If you do find one of these coins dated 2009, that'll be worth much more than even the rarest circulating Olympic 50p. There is also an alternative design to the Olympic Aquatics. The one which was circulated en masse is one of the more common Olympic coins. Initially, the design featured lines over the face of the swimmer. There were only a few of these minted though, so if you do find this variant of the design, then it's worth a nice sum of money indeed. So if you get an Olympic Aquatics, check for the lines over the face on it. Outside of the Olympic 50p's, there are plenty of other desirable commemorative coins, the top 10 from most common to the rarest being Squirrel Nutkin, the Tailor of Gloucester, WWF, Suffragettes, Jemima Puddle Duck, Sir Isaac Newton, Mrs Tittlemouse, Peter Rabbit, Flopsy Bunny, and then the rarest circulating 50p coin is Kew Gardens. It is worth pointing out that rarer doesn't always mean most valuable. The Kew Gardens is by far the most valuable of the top 10, but the Jemima Puddle Duck, which ranks 6th in the top 10 list, is more valuable than some of the coins which feature higher on that list, partly because it is the rarest one of a 5-coin Beatrix Potter set which was released back in 2016. There is also a variant to look out for within our top 10 too. The Isaac Newton 50p was released in 2017 and it's a desirable coin which was put out into change, but there were also some minted in 2018 as well. It was the Strike Your Own coin in 2018 as well as 2017, so if you went to the Royal Mint experience then you could strike an Isaac Newton 50p which would have the date 2018. So if you find an Isaac Newton 50p coin in your change, do check the date, because although the 2018 version wasn't intentionally circulated, some may have found their way into our change. Within the common circulating commemorative coins, there are also a number of restrikes to look out for. The Britannia, Girl Guides, Scouts, Roger Bannister, Victoria Cross Heroic Acts, Victoria Cross The Medals, Battle of Britain and Battle of Hastings are all rather common coins to come across. But in 2019, to celebrate 50 years of the 50p, these coins were restruck for collectors to buy in sets. They weren't put into circulation, but again, some may have managed to find their way into our change. If you do find one of these designs, then check the date on the obverse or head side of the coin to see if it is dated 2019. There were also two more uncommon coins which were put into this set to look out for too. The D-Day Landings 50p, which when it was originally minted in 1994 was a larger, chunkier 50p. It was restruck for this set at the same size as the current 50p coin is. Kew Gardens is the other coin to feature in this set, and is the only one which the original one is worth more than the restrike. So if you find a Kew Gardens 50p, you'll be praying that it isn't dated 2019 on the head side. In 2009, to mark the 40th anniversary of the 50p, there was also a set of older coins restruck for a collector's set, and that includes the UK's entrance into the EEC, the UK presidency and D-Day landings were all again resized to the smaller size of 50p's which we use today. The NHS, the 25th anniversary of the UK's entrance into the EEC, public libraries, suffragettes, Roger Bannister, Dictionary, Victoria Cross Heroic Acts, Victoria Cross the Medals, Scouts and Girl Guiding were all restruck and dated 2009 for these sets. There are a few other coins, including two versions of Britannia which you might be able to spot, but also the Shield, Definitive and Kew Gardens which you won't be able to tell apart from the other coin sets which were released in that year. As I said, 50p's used to be larger and chunkier than the ones we use to this day. Although they were replaced in 1997, you might still come across one though. There are a few commemorative coins to look out for, but by far the rarest is the UK's presidency of the Council of Ministers. It is a dual-dated coin as the UK's presidency spanned across 1992 and 1993. There were actually fewer of these put out into circulation than there were Kew Gardens put into circulation. Unfortunately, it isn't quite as valuable as the 2009 Kew Gardens 50p, but still a nice profit to be had if you do find one at face value. Within the pre-1997 larger 50p, there are also a number of years where the definitive Britannia are worth looking out for. The years 1971 to 75, 1984 and then 1986 to 1996, none were produced for circulation, which means these years are more desirable than others. Additionally, 1985 is a lower minted circulating year when compared to other mintage figures for the old 50p which were put into circulation. It isn't worth a whole load of money, but it's still a rarer year to find. Within currently circulating 50p's, there are two different definitive portraits to look for. Britannia was the definitive design from 1997 until 2008, and it's the last year of that run which is the rarest. 2008 is the lowest minted year for Britannia in circulation, but as it changed design after this year, any Britannia 50p dated after 2008 is also a rarer coin which you shouldn't really be finding in your change. The Shield design became the definitive design in 2008, and there is a raft of key dates to look out for. In 2009, 10, 11, 16, 18 and 2021, none were produced for circulation, so if you find one of these there is quite the markup in price. 2017 is by far the lowest minted year for the circulating Shield design, and it actually ranks as the 5th rarest circulating 50p, but being a definitive means it doesn't have quite as much value to similarly rare commemorative coins. There is also the 2022 Tooth Fairy 50p as well. It was minted with a little star on the reverse or tail side of the coin, and it's a tiny variation on the standard circulating definitive 50p, but would make for quite the rare and exciting find for sure. Until 2017, all commemorative 50p's were put into circulation for us to find, but since that year, many designs haven't made it out into our change. Despite this, they do still turn up from time to time. Since 2018, the 50p's that did circulate are the 4 Beatrix Potter 50p's dated 2018, the representation of the People Act, the 4 Paddington designs over 2 different years, Sherlock Holmes, Brexit, Diversity Book Britain, the Platinum Jubilee, Pride, the Queen Elizabeth II Memorial 50p, and most recently the King Charles III Coronation 50p. That leaves a whole host of other commemorative 50p's minted since 2018 that are all NIFC coins. Coins which were not intended for circulation. One of those would make for a very rare find in your change. Within the NIFC coins there are also some intriguing variants to look for too. In 2021, to celebrate 50 years since decimalisation, when we did away with pounds, shillings and pence, a special 50p was minted. There was a version of this coin only available in the annual coin set, which has the Queen's 2nd portrait by Arnold Machin instead of the 5th portrait by Jodie Clark. Likewise, in 2020, in the build-up to the Tokyo Olympic Games, a 50p was minted and included in the annual coin set at the start of the year. However, before the coin got its own individual release later that year, the world went into lockdown. When the Olympic Games was then held the following year in 2021, it was still called the 2020 Games, and the coin was then individually released but dated 2021 on the obverse or head side of the coin. This means that there are two versions of this coin to collect and look for. With the change in the portrait of Queen Elizabeth II in 2015, from Ian Rank Broadley's 4th portrait to Jodie Clark's 5th portrait, there are two versions of the Battle of Britain 50p to look for, which was also released in 2015. The one with Jodie Clark's 5th portrait was put into circulation and is a common coin to find, but the version with Ian Rank Broadley's 4th portrait was only put into collector's sets. So if you do come across a Battle of Britain 50p, you not only need to check if it's a 2019 restrike version, but there are also the 2015 alternative portraits to look for too. There are error coins to look out for, notably the 2017 Benjamin Bunny rotation error. Although it may be possible to find this kind of error on other coins, this is one of the more prevalently found rotation errors. If you take the coin and rotate it left to right 180 degrees, the queen should be facing to the right, but on some Benjamin Bunny 50p's, one die used to strike the design onto the coin was fitted incorrectly, so that the heads and tails don't match up perfectly, and this error can take the coin from being worth just 50p to a rather large sum of money if it's this error. Rumour has it that there is also a Brexit 50p worth looking out for. The circulating design is very common, again worth just 50p, but where Brexit was planned to happen a couple of times before it finally did, the Royal Mint had struck the coins ready to circulate them on that day. When Brexit was then postponed, the coins had to be melted down and were re-struck with a new date ready for the release. And there are whispers that some of these coins with the alternative dates have made it out of the Royal Mint instead of being melted down. So check the date on the bottom of the coin, as if it doesn't say 31st of January 2020 and instead has another date, that is a version of the coin that you shouldn't find in your change. Similar to the Decimal Day 50p, the Platinum Jubilee 50p also has an alternative portrait that you will want to be looking out for. The one minted for circulation features Jodie Clark's 5th and final portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, but there was also a non-circulating version of this coin, which features the Queen on horseback, and it's this version of the coin which you shouldn't find in your change. Very similar, our most recent circulating 50p to celebrate King Charles III's coronation has two versions, one which features a crowned portrait of him and one without the crown. The uncrowned portrait was the version put into circulation, and the crowned one is the one that was only sold to collectors. Outside of the UK, you might also find some territories and crown dependencies 50p coins. These minted for Jersey, Guernsey, the Isle of Man, Gibraltar or the Falkland Islands are not actually legal tender in the UK, but they are so similar that some of them do make their way into our change. Most will be worth a little bit over face value to a collector, but there are some worth a lot more than that. So if you do find a coin from one of these places, make sure that you look it up before you spend it. Now, our video can't cover every single version of every 50p that you might find out in your change which might be worth money, but I think we've covered most of the bases in today's video. Do let us know in the comments if there are any additional ones that you personally would be looking out for. Be sure to check the links down in the description over to our website for some of the coins that are featured in today's video, and do hit that subscribe button as well. It's free to do and it means you won't miss out on any of our future uploads. You can also follow us on Facebook and Instagram, where we post lots of pictures of our coins. We're on Twitter and TikTok, we have our shop and online store, and I'll see you next time for more amazing coins from the Britannia Coin Company.